What if I told you that everything you think you know about living a happy life is wrong? That the pursuit of fairness, control, and constant happiness is exactly what's holding you back? Life is full of harsh truths. Truths we often avoid because they're uncomfortable, even painful. But here's the thing. Once you face these truths, they don't make life harder. They make it better. This video will show you 5 harsh truths that the majority of people try to avoid at all costs. Derived from the enduring insights of Stoic philosophers such as Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus. These are not merely objective truths. They are empowering lessons. By the conclusion, you will understand how these truths, when embraced, can bring you liberation, power, and understanding. Let's dive in, because the life you want begins where the lies you tell yourself end. Truth number 1. Life isn't fair. Fairness is a concept manufactured by humans, yet nature does not operate according to those standards. Do not hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whatever way they happen. This is the path to peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "This is timeless advice that we should always keep in mind. There is a possibility that these words will initially feel unsettling or even unpleasant. On the other hand, they carry with them a truth that allows us to break free from the shackles of unrealistic expectations. Just give it some thought. The way we typically define fairness is based on the assumption that the world owes us something. We ought to be successful if we put in a lot of effort. When we show kindness to others, they need to show kindness to us as well. We should be rewarded by life if we continue to play by the rules. But consider the natural world. It makes no difference to the lion whether or not the gazelle is deserving of life. It is not possible for the storm to go away from the homes of nice people. And the blessings and difficulties that life brings are not distributed in an equal manner. It's possible that this will seem depressing, but it doesn't have to be. Unpacking the reasons why this fact can really be powerful is the next step. You will no longer be continuously disappointed once you stop expecting fairness to be applied to you. You will start to take responsibility for your own pleasure once you let go of the notion that life owes you anything. Take the case of Viktor Frankl as an illustration. As a survivor of the Holocaust, Frankl experienced one of the most turbulent periods in human history. His family, his independence, and everything else that he treasured were taken away from him. He faced unfathomable anguish. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. He wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He believed this was the case in spite of the fact that his circumstances were unfair. There is no guarantee that life will be fair, but we have the ability to choose how we will see and behave within it. We may not be able to control the storms that come our way, but we do have the ability to decide whether or not we allow those storms to drown us or whether we use them to grow. The question I have for you is this: how many times have you allowed injustice to destroy your tranquility? Perhaps it was a promotion that you did not receive, despite putting in more effort than anyone else. Or it could be a relationship that terminated despite your best attempts. Alternatively, a friend who's betrayed your trust. It's simple to become mired in these moments, to play them over and over again in your head, and to wish for some sort of cosmic intervention to put everything in order. Waiting for fairness, on the other hand, is analogous to waiting for rain during a drought. There is a possibility that it will never come, and in the meantime, you are allowing that dryness to overwhelm you. Rather, ask yourself, what am I capable of doing with what I have? The chance to develop resilience is presented by the unfairness inherent in life. This will be a test of your character. This is the question that the entire world is asking you. What are you going to do now? You begin to concentrate on what really matters when you come to terms with the fact that life isn't fair. This includes your actions, the decisions you make, and the way you think. Refrain from feeling the need to strike a balance between the various aspects of life. Instead, ask yourself, how can I make the most of this situation? To disregard injustice or to cease working toward a better society is not an acceptable response to this situation. Do not waste any more time arguing about what a good man ought to be. Marcus Aurelius has been quoted as saying, "Become one." Despite the fact that you cannot ensure that everything will be fair in the broad scheme of things, you have the ability to choose to behave fairly. Use kindness. Be diligent in your work. Rather than doing what is right because the world will reward you for it, do what is right because it will improve your soul. Here is a step that you can take in the real world. Reframe your thoughts. Take a moment to pause the next time you find yourself in an unfair circumstance. Please take a deep breath with me. Remind yourself that life does not guarantee fairness. Ask yourself, what is it that I can control in this situation? Truth number 2, you can't control everything. A quote attributed to Epictetus states, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." This straightforward yet profound remark is the key to achieving peace in a world that is full of chaos. One tenacious notion is the source of a significant portion of our suffering, irritation, and anxiety. This belief is that if we only work hard enough, we can control everything that is going on around us. Unfortunately, we are unable to do so. Consider the various things that we give our undivided attention to, such as what other people think of us. People think of us whether or not the weather will wreck our plans, or whether or not our jobs will turn out the way we have envisioned them. When we try to exert control over these things, we do it with the mistaken belief that doing so will make us feel safe. On the other hand, this focus frequently results in increased stress rather than less stress. Those under our control and those beyond our control were the two categories that Epictetus used to classify life. Which aspects are under our control? Our thoughts, decisions, actions, and how we feel about things. We are unable to control what is going on except for those things. Pretty much everything else is beyond our control, including the actions of other people, random occurrences, the past, and even the future. The Stoics believe that the key to freedom is to concentrate solely on elements that are under our control. Marcus Aurelius expressed a similar sentiment in his book Meditations, where he stated, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Recognize this, and you will discover the strength you need. Let us proceed to dissect this. Imagine that you are caught up in traffic. You have no control over the oncoming traffic, the red lights, or the amount of time that this will cause you to be late. But you have the ability to control how you react. There are a few options available to you. You could let your anger out by honking at no one in particular. Or you might use that time to think, listen to music, or even practice thankfulness for the fact that you have a car in the first place. Your perception of the traffic evolves, but the traffic itself remains the same. Let's apply this to more significant challenges that we face in life. Perhaps you have been subjected to unjust criticism. Perhaps a project that you put a lot of effort into did not succeed. Or perhaps a person close to you has let you down. You do not have complete control over any of these circumstances. Nevertheless, you do have influence over how you react to them. Are you going to let these occurrences consume you? Or are you going to concentrate on what you can do next? Fear is often the source of our need for control, which is a difficult thing to accept. Uncertainty leads to fear of falling short of expectations, and anxiety about getting harmed. Holding on to control, on the other hand, does not eliminate dread. Rather, it magnifies it. We learn from the Stoics that the first step toward genuine bravery is to acknowledge and embrace the unpredictability of life. Seneca articulated his thoughts by writing, "The entire future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." What are some ways that we can let go of the impulse to control everything? Your first step should be to engage in the Stoic exercise known as negative visualization. Imagine the worst-case situation, not to dwell on it, but rather to accept it. What if the weather gets in the way of your plans? If you don't receive that promotion, what will you do? What happens if someone is critical of you? Recognize that these experiences are a natural part of existence. When you do that, they will no longer have any control over you. Next, direct your attention to the things that are rightfully yours to command. If you are concerned about how other people perceive you, focus your attention on being the best version of yourself, rather than trying to control how things are perceived by others. Concentrate your efforts on the things you can do right now. If you are feeling nervous about the future because it is unexpected, the beauty of this way of thinking is that it makes your load easier to bear. Instead of attempting to carry the weight of the world, you shift your attention to the things that are within your control. Paradoxically, as you let go of control, you gain more power over yourself, namely control over your inner calm. When you let go of trying to control something that is beyond your control, you set yourself free. By doing so, you provide room for development, tranquility, and genuine resilience. Join forces with me to traverse this unpredictably difficult planet. Obtain command of the things that are significant, and let go of the rest with ease. Truth number 3, happiness isn't constant. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Seneca cautioned us while he was writing his work. What percentage of the time, however, do we attribute our satisfaction to something that's not happening right now? We have the notion that I will be content when I'm given that promotion, when I get that automobile, and when I find the ideal companion. However, the happiness that these milestones offer us does not typically last as long as we expect it will, even when we do attain them. How come? Mostly due to the fact that happiness, as a concept, is ephemeral. Stoicism was aware of this fact. Happiness, in their view, was not a state that could be attained indefinitely, but rather something that emerged in the midst of moments of present-day thankfulness. It is shaped by forces that are beyond our control, and it comes and goes like the tide. Only is it naive to anticipate that the tide would continue to be at its highest point, but it is also irrational to anticipate that happiness will remain unchanged. The message here is not one of hopelessness. Rather, it is a call to live life to the fullest. We can experience a more profound sort of contentment when we stop striving for an eternal high and instead begin to appreciate the many lesser joys that life has to offer. Take some time to think about it. At what point in time did you experience genuine joy? Was it during a momentous occasion that would forever alter your life? Or was it during a more private moment, such as an emotional talk, a walk in the woods, or the sensation of the sun on your skin? The words of Seneca could be summarized as follows. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. Even when we have a lot of things for which we are thankful, we are unable to feel content because we have a strong desire to be happy all the time. Happiness is not about accumulation, but rather about alignment, something that the Stoics teach us. Marcus Aurelius, in his book Meditations, exhorted us to come into harmony with the natural world and the here and now. Focus your attention on the here and now, he said. Why? Because the current moment is the only thing we truly possess. Only in the present moment can one find happiness. The past is no longer present, and the future is not known. Considering this, how much of your life is spent anticipating the arrival of happiness? It is common for us to persuade ourselves, if only this or that happens, I will finally be happy. Happiness, on the other hand, is not a destination. Rather, it is a companion that arrives along the journey, frequently when we are least expecting it. At this point, let's discuss what happens when happiness begins to purr. It is only natural to experience feelings of unease when the delight we have been enjoying evaporates. We are reminded by the Stoics, however, that this is also a part of the rhythm of existence. The ups and downs of life are like the changing of the seasons. According to Seneca, no man can have a peaceful life who thinks too much about lengthening it or wonders about the future. Embrace the ebb rather than fighting against it. Take advantage of these times of peace and quiet to engage in introspection, personal development, and getting ready for the next wave of happiness. Recognizing and appreciating this is a useful method to absorb it. Take a moment every day to reflect on 3 things for which you hold gratitude. A cup of coffee, a nice remark, or the fact that you are alive to enjoy another day are all examples of things that won't require a huge gesture. Small acknowledgments like this help you stay rooted in the here and now and serve as a reminder that enjoyment is frequently found in the things that we disregard. Life is in fact a dynamic process. Both happiness and sadness can be found in it. However, acknowledging its transience does not undermine enjoyment. Rather, it enhances it. It instills in us the knowledge that the opportunities for enjoyment that come our way are priceless, precisely because they do not stay forever. If you find that this realization is like a breath of fresh air, then let's collectively take a step that is both little and significant. Subscribe to this channel. The waves of happiness may come and go, but the knowledge that we shall discuss in this article will assist you in gracefully navigating them. Remind yourself that the objective is not to seek out a state of pleasure that is consistent. Rather, the objective is to live a life that is so full of presence and thankfulness that happiness is a natural outcome of living that life. Towards that kind of fulfillment, let's travel together, shall we? Truth number 4, you will lose people you love. Having to face the fact that everything and everyone we hold dear is only temporary is one of the most challenging realities of life. Stoics had a different perspective on this understanding, though it can be overwhelming and even debilitating at times. Reflect often on how swiftly all that exists is swept away and disappears. Counsels Marcus Aurelius in Meditations. This is a frightening piece of advice. Not only is it a reminder to appreciate the transient beauty of life, but it is also not a call to despair. There will always be a loss. Friends will eventually become estranged from one another. Relationships may become strained, and loved ones will eventually pass away. Although difficult, these truths cannot be denied. The teachings of Epictetus would instruct his pupils to get their brains ready for the reality that they would encounter. He would recommend that you think of the people and things you love as delicate, as if they were gifts that you had borrowed. This practice is not about detachment. Rather, it is about profound appreciation. Take into consideration the fact that the realization of the transience of everything makes each moment more precious. When you are aware that a sunset will not remain forever, you are able to appreciate its colors with greater intensity. A person becomes more present and more generous with their affection when they realize that the time they spend with a loved one is limited. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Seneca urged in his letters to Lucilius, nothing should be put off until later. Let us make sure that the books of life are ever balanced. Take a moment to reflect on the people who are currently a part of your life. Over what percentage of the time do we take them for granted, expecting that they will always be there? The number of instances that we have failed to express our appreciation or admiration for someone because we have been under the impression that there will be another chance. The Stoics serve as a reminder that there is no assurance that another opportunity will present itself. There is no denying that loss is painful. It is true that the agony is real, regardless of whether it is the conclusion of a friendship, the dissolution of a partnership, or the death of someone you love. But this suffering is the price that must be paid for connection. It is proof of a connection that is so significant that the lack of it causes a strong sense of loss. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. The poet Khalil Gibran wrote, offering a concept that was reminiscent of Stoic philosophy. The experience of loss, despite the fact that it is devastating, also strengthens our capacity to love and appreciate. In addition, the Stoics provide us with mechanisms for coping with sadness in the first place. They instruct us to accept the things that are under our control. Even though we are unable to stop loss from happening, we are able to control how we react to it. Grief is not something that should be repressed or avoided. Rather, it is a process that should be experienced and understood in its entirety. You should have the fortitude to face your grief and to feel the anguish, but not to let it consume you as Marcus Aurelius would tell you to do. The second thing that they do is persuade us to change our point of view. We have the ability to choose to be grateful for what we had, rather than dwelling on what we have already lost. Think about a friend who decides to relocate. You have the option of either lamenting their absence or celebrating the memories you shared with them. Both feelings are perfectly normal. Yet one brings about a sense of resolution, while the other brings about an extended period of sadness. Last but not least, the Stoics tell us that we should respect those we have lost by living a good life. When a loved one passed away in ancient Rome, it was common for people to do some introspection about their own lives. It served as a reminder to people that they should live their lives with honesty, that they should make the most of each day, and that they should promote the principles and teachings of those who had passed away. When viewed in this light, loss can be seen as a type of legacy, a means by which we can keep those we love alive. By the decisions and acts we take. Pause for a moment and think about the individuals who are most important to you. Are you sure that you have conveyed to them how much you value them? Do you feel that you've expressed your appreciation, your affection, and your time? Loss is unavoidable, but regret does not have to be a part of the equation. It is true that the grief of loss is genuine, but it is also true that the beauty of having loved in the first place is real. The existence of this dichotomy is what gives life its breathtakingly beautiful quality. In order to move on, let us cling to that beauty and allow it to direct us. You are responsible for your life. When Epictetus declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself," he did not mince words. It is possible that this is the most unsettling reality of all. No one is going to come to your rescue. Neither a hero nor a magical solution will materialize out of nowhere. The responsibility for your happiness, your development, and your accomplishments is squarely on your shoulders. At first, this may appear to be intimidating. It is far simpler to place blame on other factors, such as people, circumstances, or poor luck, for the current state of our lives. On the other hand, the instant you stop blaming and begin taking responsibility, an astonishing thing takes place. You recapture your power. As long as you continue to throw responsibility on someone else, you will continue to be a victim of the chaos that is life. However, once you acquire control of something, you become the master of that thing. Self-control was a central tenet of the Stoic philosophy. According to what Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not over events that occur outside of yourself. Once you come to terms with this, you will discover your strength. The most important thing is to concentrate on the things that you have the ability to influence, such as your actions, your decisions, and your attitude. When you stop and think about it, how much of your life has been spent waiting? Do you find yourself waiting for the ideal time, the right chance, or for someone else to make things better? The Stoics would refer to this as a waste of time. Seneca cautioned us, saying, "Life is long if you know how to use it." He maintained that time is the most valuable resource that we possess, and that it is solely our obligation to make prudent use of it. Taking responsibility does not mean that life will become less difficult all of a sudden. It means acknowledging that the decisions, the amount of effort, and the discipline that are required to create a meaningful life are all up to you. If you wish to improve your health, you will need to make the necessary adjustments. It is necessary to engage in practice in order to acquire a skill. In order to recover from a setback, you will need to engage in some introspective work. Be honest with yourself. Taking responsibility for your life is not easy. Confronting unsettling truths about the areas in which you have failed is a necessary step. It means letting go of excuses and accepting responsibility for the outcomes of your decisions. On the other hand, it also represents a sense of freedom, the ability to direct your life in any way that you see fit. It wasn't enough for the Stoics to preach responsibility. They also lived it. Epictetus, who was born into slavery, worked his way up to become one of the most influential thinkers in history. Despite the fact that he was unable to manage his environment, he was able to master himself. His life demonstrated that even in the most trying circumstances, we are able to accept responsibility for our ideas and actions. So how do you get started with accepting responsibility? Start out on a tiny scale. Find one area of your life in which you have been making excuses for yourself. Perhaps it's your professional life, the relationships you have, or your own personal development. You should ask yourself, what can I do right now to move forward? Not the following day, not the following week, presently. Next, make sure you are accountable. Be sure to keep your commitments both to yourself and to other people. When you fail, don't blame yourself. Instead, learn from your mistake. Every error is a learning experience, and every setback is a stepping stone. In conclusion, adopt a disciplined attitude. Discipline was seen as the cornerstone of freedom by the Stoic. It is not a flashy method, but it is efficient. Building the life you want requires you to be consistent in your actions, even when it is challenging. It is your life that you are living. No one else will care about it as much as you do. No one else is able to make the decisions, carry out the acts, or deal with the repercussions. This truth, despite being intimidating, is also extremely empowering. If you want to change your story, leave a legacy, and live a life that matters, you have the opportunity to do so. Not by coincidence, but by making a conscious decision. It is your life that you are living. That is yours. Put things together. Put some form to it. You bear the obligation, but you also hold the power. The Stoics were aware of the fact that happiness does not consist of evading reality, but rather of accepting it. There are many difficulties, losses, and transitions that are part of life. You can, however, unleash the freedom to live your life with purpose, gratitude, and inner peace by confronting these truths head-on. According to what Seneca had to say, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. It is not worth wasting any more time clinging to delusions. Accept these 5 realities, and you will be amazed at how they will alter the course of your life. In the event that this video has inspired you, you should not keep it to yourself. Give it a like, subscribe to it, and share it with someone you know who could benefit from some Stoic insight in their life. Till we meet again, may you live your life with courage, wisdom, and success.